Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Hey, Mohammed. How's it going? Chris Knife first? No. Mohammed was first. Hey, Rhiannon. Hey, Nix. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. How's everyone doing? Happy Tuesday. This is Digital Iliad, episode 336. We're making an FTL-like game in Godot. I forgot to turn my lights on. Actually, I've got this other lamp going. I kind of like it. I think the lighting is actually okay. Oh, that's better. Hey, Arnio, let's go. Nix, you're taking it easy today. It's a cheat day. You're playing RimWorld. That sounds great. All right, it's March 31st. The last day of Q1. So it's kind of our last day of messing around before getting serious with our to-do list here. With our game plan for Q2, Q3, Q4. To remind ourselves, our game plan is that we need a Steam page as early as possible. We need a game trailer that's basically like a glorified GIF. And we need a vertical slice that's like a living demo, like a little demo that we keep updating as we add content. And yeah. Q1 is the Steam page. Q2 is the Steam page. Q3 is going to be the gameplay trailer, and Q4 is going to be the demo. So for the sake of the Steam page, what we actually want to be doing is we almost need to switch to like screenshot driven development for a bit. I need to get a vision of what the final presentation of the game will be like in terms of here's what it would look like, here's what you would see. Here's what a given scene in the game would look like. Especially, it would be neat to do it against an actual Windows desktop backdrop. Lots of art needed, exactly. Yeah, we're going to be switching gears a little bit to heavily producing content. We'll still work on some system stuff on the side because we're not done with our systems stuff. Like our tile block editor. I'm giving myself the rest of today to work on this tile selection overlay. If we can't get it sorted out, we'll just forget it for now. It might end up being something that's better during play mode than edit mode, and I just won't implement it for edit mode because it's kind of complex, but we'll get into that in a little bit. What we absolutely need to keep working on, though, in the background is the save load, which we get some nice stuff from save load. We can also, like, undo redo will be really easy to implement as well. So we really need these, and then the rest of this, I think, are nice to have things, like a block face painting tool, a tile set atlas builder, an invalid block tile mask, you know, actual 90-degree camera rotations, copy cut paste tool. Like, this is all going to become nice to have stuff, but these things are need to have. So we're going to start working on those as soon as tomorrow, maybe. Tomorrow might actually, I don't know. We might look at what our requirements are to achieve our Q2 goal of the Steam page, and we might actually make a to-do list based on that. Would probably be the best thing to do tomorrow. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we end up doing. And then we got to switch to working on Lo-Fi Flyby. Excuse me. Rhiannon, work's been stressful this week. You're moving warehouses. You're finishing up the integration so they know when to expect shipments in and what to ship out for us. Yeah, that sounds... Change. We fear change. You gonna research some lo-fi music stream backgrounds for inspiration? I listen to a lot of lo-fi music in the background. I do that I have been pulling together little lo-fi games that I've been finding. And I've been trying different ones. The one that's not a lo-fi game per se, but the one that I've been playing the most is definitely Rusty's Retirement, and I want to do some like design analysis of that. Save load will be so nice, so you don't have to keep drawing the same debug rooms over and over again. Yeah, but I think it has been helpful to do that because I draw it a little differently every time, and there's definitely been times where I've been like, Hey, Rimas, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. How are you doing? It's going to be a short streaming week. This upcoming weekend is a holiday, and I'm going to travel down to visit some family and friends. So there won't be a stream Friday and Saturday. It's going to just be Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. So today, tomorrow, and Thursday. It should be fun. So we got a short week. It's the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. So I think this week will be a lot of planning and a lot of like planning and pipe dreams, you know. I want to talk about design stuff for Lo-Fi Flyby because Rusty's Retirement has given me a lot of ideas on how to think about progression or planning, because I realize that's the thing that's like key in these idle games is planning, because you're not doing very much moment to moment. You're mostly just watching things unfold and intervening here and there. Most of what you're doing is planning. So I think we're actually going to need to add a layer into the game that reflects that. And I think one plan obviously is like you're thinking about your progression. Like you're thinking about, okay, I want to unlock this outfit, or maybe I want an autopilot robot so that we can keep flying when my character goes to do something else or whatever. Like that's not the best example because you're in space and you would only need the autopilot to like intervene for like takeoff, landing, and like setting courses and stuff. You shouldn't need to sit in the pilot seat if you're just like drifting, right? But you could think about it. Maybe you want like a cargo loader bot, which will let you, or an exosuit, which will let your character lift heavier cargo. So you can lift heavier cargo, which is probably more lucrative, or at least just more. So there's that aspect of progression, which is like, what am I unlocking? Or that aspect of planning, which is the progression, which is what am I unlocking? The other aspect of planning that I want to think about is just like a really rudimentary, like cargo route thing of like, you can buy cargo and then sell it somewhere else. So I think there's going to be a really little like galaxy map of like, okay, we can pick up cargo and passengers here and we can drop it off there. Or maybe you accept a mission and the mission involves picking up cargo here and dropping off there. I kind of like a mix maybe, but I think it would be really neat if you could like make decisions about like, okay, I'm going to sink all my money into cargo and at this station, and I'm going to try to sell it at this station, and then I'm going to use that money to buy something else. So I think it'd be really neat if you actually have to spend the money that you have saved up to invest in your own cargo, which is pretty accurate. So I think there will be that'll be a planning element of the game of like, let me pick my route through the star system of like what I'm going to do and what I'm going to pick up. I think that'd be neat. Hey, K-Cog, what's up? Brandon, you know there will be multiple ships, but will you be able to upgrade things like increase fuel space for longer range on the current ship? Perhaps more fuel, less cargo space? Yeah, we can do whatever we want because we have a modular ship design or a modular ship design, editor. But yeah, it's a good idea. I think we are going to make distinctions between structural changes to the ship, which I think will be rare, but it would be like what you're saying of like add a external fuel pod or replace cargo space with like I don't know. But yeah, I think we'll have stuff. There will be some stuff like that of like You'll be like, oh, let me upgrade my engines. They're bigger engines. It's like, I don't know. Stuff. I think we'll have some cool stuff like that. Because the player is not going to be like building new ships. The ships are all going to be pre-built. So there will be, I think the thing about the ship is that it will establish like your overall number of like rooms and like sizes of rooms and stuff. So the bigger ships are more likely to have extra rooms, which you could convert into like passenger dorms or crew quarters or something like that. And then we can have stuff like engine modules or, I don't know, like a dish. Maybe there's like an antenna, like a scanning suite, so that you can like see further on the galaxy map and like plan even further out. Like, yeah, I think it'll be cool. But what we are working on today is we're trying to implement this new selection outline that I want to do, which is like, one of them is like this, like, oopsies. One of them is like this corners only, like bounding box that like selected objects will have. And the other is like this dotted line selection thing, which we've actually updated to include like a ruler. So here it has like, you can measure, you can be like, okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Like you can measure the size of the block by looking at like the ruled lines, which I think is neat. I'm gonna say right up front, I'm really tired today. I'm trying to bring the thunder, but I've already had my coffee, which is good. But I stayed up way too late trying to figure some stuff out related to this selection thing. Because I've run into kind of a conundrum of how to represent and think about this, or more specifically, how to process these. And I think it's an important thing to think about because the way that this works is very similar to the way that like the doors are going to work, and other things. And I know we adjusted the design to be able to tessellate so that we wouldn't have to like figure out where you are in within the pattern. But I'm realizing we actually need different auto tiling patterns or processes for different things, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make it like programmable. So you can like look at, here's this format. We auto tile it like this. I haven't totally figured it out. Like here's our tile mapping for like the full walls, right? Like you can see the edges that we iterate through, and there's also corners associated. So like here's the corner variance. And we have a vector 4 that we map the auto tilings onto. So we have an auto tiled vector 4, and then we have a JSON file that maps the auto tiled format onto the actual graphical format, like this one, like the texture format. We have a translation process. And I think I want to use that format to say, because the auto tiled format is fixed. It's essentially just a look to the right, look to the left, look both right and left. Like this format is fixed, and then the ZW is like look diagonally. Look diagonally. I realize we actually maybe need a... We might need even more. Or different. So we need a slightly different setup because this is very different. This is like the outline structure for like a regular tile, like a regular block tile. The selection outlines block tile looks really different. Where even is it? This thing. So there's a few different ones of these. There's like, here's like the dotted line. And then here's like a bloated version of the corners only. And then here's if you pack the corners only, it becomes like this. Like if you get rid of the empty tiles. So this is a different structure, and we essentially need a way to map from the auto tiler onto this structure. But there's there's a side effect of this, which is like the way this is set up, because these dots are actually drawn past the tile. It's not like the block, the block adjacency checks that you're doing to decide whether to draw these or not are more complicated than or not more complicated. They're just different than the checks that you normally make to do the underlying hull tiles. And there's a little bit of weirdness in how to handle that, especially because the tiles at the back are drawn differently than the tiles at the front. So I kind of need to figure this out. Like you'll notice here, this tile, so this is a box that's 3 tiles across. But you'll notice that the grid on the bottom is 4 tiles, and it's because of this visual offset. And it's a little tricky. So we almost want to process per block for these, but we don't really process per block for the regular hull faces. But we kind of want to do it per block here. And then that's kind of like a generator, because that means a block might submit multiple tile things to be drawn. But then the other thing I thought of is, hey, we're not actually limited because this isn't a tile atlas anymore. Like, this isn't a tile map layer anymore. I could actually draw this whole thing as one graphic anchored to this block. There's problems associated with doing that, but it might be better than the alternative of like drawing these separately. I don't know. I'm not sure. I could see an argument for doing it a little bit more simply and having fewer draw calls. But it could get complicated really fast. So I kind of got to think about that. And I guess that's what we're doing today. We're thinking about stuff. How we're going to implement this today in one day so that we can move on to something else. But yeah, here's like the format. And so like these entries are like the auto tile coordinates, and they map onto the index for the tile texture format. And this is all right. The problem is we either need to have a bunch of empty slots so that when you come up with an auto tile coordinate that just needs to be blank, you can either draw something blank, but it really sucks to submit a transparent tile to be drawn. So I'd rather just be like, oh, if this is a blank tile, just get rid of it. But not quite sure about doing that. That said, this JSON file is basically a dictionary. So we could do something where we could have like coordinates associated with like blank values. I don't know. We need to do some kind of thing to avoid drawing all of these blank tiles, because these selection things are mostly blank. I thought about just drawing based around the bounding boxes, which would kind of work. For the dotted line, the bounding box thing would kind of work because your cursor can only form a bounding box. Like, even when you click drag, you're just forming a bounding box of some kind. The problem is more the selection side of things. But again, maybe this is just a problem for the editor tool and we don't actually need to worry about it. So if I box like this whole area, this is actually a bounding box. Our current overlay can only draw over existing tiles, so like we can't show the box. But our new selection thing would show some little like corner tips instead. And so we could draw just based off a bounding box, and that would be really efficient. And I'm really tempted to do that. But the problem is if I start doing this. But you're like, oh, those are just multiple bounding boxes. Just draw over the multiple bounding boxes. And it's like, yeah. What happens if I do this? Do we treat them as separate selection boxes? Is this just overkill? Because this is an edit-only thing. Like, I only need to be able to do this if I can then click and move the ground. So, like, in reality, that's not something that we actually care about. In the game, you would box select, and then you would just, all of the things that were selectable would be highlighted, and this background thing would just go away. Arneo, you're going to try to smelt 338 iron in Valheim while also working through coding your NPC maneuvers list. Impressive. Where do you get all that iron from? That's a lot of iron. What we would do, what my group would do, is we would find a swamp with, like, you know, a dozen or more crypts, like the swamp crypts. And I would build a highway structure. So I would build a raised platform running through the swamp that was about the width of a cart, so that you could cart run past like a dozen swamp vaults or swamp crypts or whatever you want to call them, and just pull the iron out of there. That's how we would get our hundreds or thousands of iron that we needed for our stuff. But man, was that work intensive. You just used the boat. No, we had a bunch of very inland swamp setup. I didn't want to run through the swamp carrying all this stuff. We would fill up carts and just run through on carts. It was fun. Good stuff. I love Valheim. Hey, Commander. How's it going? Commander. Shepherd. Yeah, I don't know. I'm tempted to do the simplest thing for the selection. Which is to just have the dotted outline just follow the cursor box, the cursor bounding box. And then have the corner only, like, little things around selectables. I don't know. I think we're going to start with that because the alternative is like fundamentally a different process. You're making a space game for Garbage Jam #2? Ooh, Garbage Jam. That sounds fun. That's funny. There's the Bad Game Jam that's done as part of the Bad Collective, which is the Bay Area Developer Collective, which is like the big local indie game collective in where I live in the Bay Area. But they have their own Bad Game Jam where you're supposed to make bad games. Very fun. Oh, I love this. This is good stuff. Game Jam, Garbage Game Jam #2. Submissions due in 4 days, 14 hours, 7 minutes, and, well, we'll just call it 7 minutes. This is great. Rules, no generative AI. Great. No, not safe for work. Great. 3, don't make a good game. Make a garbage game. Love that. If you use assets by other people, please credit them. The game's theme doesn't have to be garbage. That's funny. This is good. This is good. This is fun. Is this for a little community? 179 joined is pretty good. I signed up for another jam. I signed up for the solo develop #9 jam. Oh, number 11. Sorry, number 9 was Halloween. I signed up for the solo dev jam number 11. I have a problem. Someone needs to help me. It's in 1 month and 8 days. It's in May. May 8th through May 11th. But this one will be chill. This is the one that we're allowed to use pre-made assets. So this is like the jam that we made Grave Escape and Mini Delivery for. So I think this is going to be the trio. This is going to be the third in my game jam trilogy for the year so far. We did one jam this month. We've got a jam next month in April, and then now we've got a jam in May. So it's going to be... The next jam is the hard one. The next jam is Ludum Dare in April. Just a few weeks now. And then we'll cool off with a nice solo dev jam. And then I think that's probably going to be our jams until, like, the fall. I don't think we're going to do any more jams until September, October timeframe. So let's get it out of our systems so we can focus up. Yeah, I was looking at this and there's a bunch of stuff that we would need to change. So what we do here is we basically, as part of our canvas item drawing system, we have this kind of workflow here. You know, let me look at chat. Commander, you were just surfing for jams a few days ago. You saw it? Nice, nice. Hey, Sapphire. How's it going? Gotta head to the basement and work on stuff. Watch out for radon. You're going down there. Carbon monoxide. Careful in the basement. There are silent killers down there. I mean, there might also be like a portal to, like, you know, a Binding of Isaac kind of situation. Rhiannon, deliver on scope, not deadline. But most importantly, deliver on game jam. Yeah. You wrote it backwards. Yeah. We'll call that a Freudian slip. There's also your workshop down there. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I can only imagine. I live in a studio apartment because I live in San Francisco, you know. I could only imagine having space of being like, oh yeah, I have a basement workshop. That'd be crazy. Got some new shelving you're going to be setting up? Ooh, I love a good shelving. All right, so what we do in our canvas item drawing system, we end up getting the block hull types. So we end up figuring out what the hull types of the ship are. Like, where are the exposed outer faces? Where are the, like, middle faces? Where are the inner faces? This is not something we want to do outside of edit time. So we need to start splitting these systems up into, like, edit time variants and, like, playtime variants, which is something I always kind of intended to do. Like, if you look at, like, our old system flow thing, my really rough outline for how I thought the systems would flow is we have, like, our auto load input handler. Then we have, like, this game, what is now called our game script, which is, like, our scene tree route. And then we have these sub managers. So we need the state manager that handles state transitions. We need to, based on what state we're in, we want to run different systems. So, like, we've pretty much exclusively been in our edit manager mode. And I even thought we'd have, like, unlimited versus, like, constrained edit modes. So, like, unlimited would be like you're just building outside of the game, and then constrained might be like you're decorating your ship or something like that, or you're upgrading modules or something. And I thought we would have, you know, live managers, plan managers. This is less applicable, but I figured that what we would do is we would use the states to funnel the code execution towards certain managers that would run in certain states. So, like, if we have a canvas item drawing system, we don't really want to have this block hull type thing running at playtime. That's only at, like, edit time. So we probably need to put that off in a different system, a system that will only run during edit time. And then we need to bake that data in. But what we really do is we just send a call to the add canvas item draws function for each kind of thing we're drawing. So we do one for, like, you know, regular hull tiles. We do another one for like our cursor bounds, and we do another one for like our selection. And we might change that to be, we might need a qualify of like add canvas item draws by face versus like add canvas item draws by block or something, or by AABB. Because what we want to do for the selection thing is we want to add canvas item draws by bounding box. So that's easier than what we would otherwise be doing. Hey, Nanigans, how's it going? Arneo, don't cope on your scope or you will lose hope. That is true. That is very true. Sapphire, this is the first time you're able to have a basement workshop as well. It sounds great. It sounds fun. Yeah, there's lots of stuff I don't do. Well, because one, I don't have time, but I very much do not have space. I know it appears like there's this infinite void behind me, but I guarantee you there is much less behind this green screen than you would think. Not bad. Tired and sore, but doing good. Oh. Are we getting up to exercise, or are we just getting old? All right. Yeah, this is our last day of Q1, so we're trying to jam out some superficial changes to the tile block editor that I want to do. Because I'm considering today kind of like a cheat day, because it's not technically Q2, so we don't really need to implement our Q2 plan yet. So we can kind of mess around. But the thing I'm trying to do, if I do it one way, involves like rewriting this whole system, and I don't want to do it that way. So we're going to do it a different way, which is a little less flexible. But I might still just do it. Like, the thing that's giving me pause is, I already said, but it's like, it's our additive selection that we can do. So I can do this thing where I can like select this area, but then I can shift and then add this area. And right now this is creating different block. Like, you can see it actually tells like per block what I've selected. Right? Why is that so hard to do? Oh, because it's per face. Let's see. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do instead is, if you add to the selection like this, it's just going to expand the whole thing to the next. Like, it'll just increase the selection bounding box to that size. I don't think I need this incredibly nitpicky, like, sub-selection thing. I don't know. I think I'm going to compromise and just not worry about that. And all that's going to require is for us to change this selection coords thing to be like a selection bounds. You're mostly just getting old, Nanigans. You moved a small dresser on the weekend to another floor and you're still feeling it. Yeah, I feel that. Did you hear me say compromise? You did, Rhiannon. I'm like growing as a person. It's crazy. Nanigans, it was also your toddler's birthday on the weekend. Oh, that's great. But I imagine that's a lot of work. But I hope that was fun. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Lil Nanigans. I'm actually going to the first birthday of my oldest friend's first child, and I'm like, man, that puts things in perspective. It's this guy I've known since I was 4 years old, and his kid is having his first kid is having her first birthday this weekend, and I'm like, wow, going to that. The miracle of life, but also the miracle of not having kids, so I can actually spend all of my time game jamming. But life just starts moving faster and faster, doesn't it? That's the feeling. Have you ever had that feeling where, like, it's almost like it feels like you're leaning forward and you're getting this kind of like ever increasing sense of acceleration? It's not a real thing, but every once in a while I'll have this feeling. It's almost like it's what I imagine something like vertigo or whatever would be. And it's like this sense that you're like something's pulling you forward faster and faster and faster. I feel like it's time doing that to me, and I have a sense of it. Happy birthday, Mini Digi. Thank you, Rhiannon. Appreciate the wishes, the well wishes from Twitch over to YouTube here. Hence, you're mostly free after 9:30-ish, as of which time you're usually drained. I know. That's true, even just working for me. Like, there's a reason I do my game jam or my game dev work during the day. By the end of the day, I'm like, I know I do co-workings at night, but I am not as productive in the night during those as I would like to be. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to change the input structure here as like a ground level thing. So we have a selection mode, a selection coords, selection stage. What we really want is a select bounds. Maybe I want like, I call this interaction. I don't want to just call it action. But that's a little confusing. So we have this selection coords. I kind of want to add a selection bounds field. It's kind of fun that this was just a hash set, but it'd probably be better if it was just a bounding box. Let's call it select bounds. And we'll use this to start. We'll do this in parallel just so we don't mess up any existing functionality. So we've got our cursor bounds, and we'll have our select bounds. And we'll build out the select bounds. And so the shift click, all it will do will be add to the bounds. It'll be less about, oh, you know, there was a thing I need to, we need to fix the bounding box. Because we have this problem in our bounding box where it gets confused about min-max. But it really shouldn't. Where's that function? There's a function that occasionally gets annoyed because minimum becomes greater than maximum. And if that ever happens, I feel like we should just rebuild the bounding box and flip the min and the max. You know what I mean? I don't remember what caused that. Guess I have to wait. Guess I have to wait until it happens again. But yeah, doesn't anyone else have this sense, this weird sense of temporal acceleration each year? Like we're just traveling through time faster and faster and faster. It's kind of scary. All right. So our canvas item drawing system is going to be weird now. Just every day. There we go, Nix. That's it. That's the ticket. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I feel like once I get to my parents' age, I'm gonna blink and a whole year will go by. Question is, does time just seem to move faster as your age, or is it actually moving faster for everyone? That's a good question. That's a good question. There's definitely technological explanations if it's everyone. But I do think, as someone who grew up before like the internet, I do think it's also still an age thing, but no, you're right. All right, so how are we going to handle the canvas item draw params, generating those for these selection things? So I still think we should go per face. And what we can do is, if we know we're drawing a bounding box, we can start from the corners. And in this case, we could draw just the corners. And then in the dotted line case, we could draw... In the dotted line case, we could draw all of the tiles stretching back and forth from those corners. I just wonder, how do you iterate along the edges of a bounding box? Easily. How do you do it easily? I guess we could do overlapping. The easiest from my standpoint would be to generate a non-overlapping bounding box and just like subtractively remove the parts of it we're not interested in. That's kind of inefficient, but it's also something we only need to do like once right now. So maybe the balance of equities, as they say, I think is maybe in favor of doing it that way. Sapphire, you remember seeing something saying that as you get older, the years go by faster because maybe a year is a smaller and smaller percentage of your life? Yeah, that's the explanation that I've heard. Yeah, Nick has a similar explanation. You've also seen a theory about how memory works as well. When younger, the years go slower because almost everything is novel. It stays in your memory. Yeah, I think the memory explanation, I think, makes even more sense. There's like a certain malleability. And like, people are still, I mean, you're still forming core memories, but like, you're right in that things that you would later on consider mundane are still novel when you're younger. So yeah, it's probably a mix of those things, the proportionality and the fact that you've just already had so many of your formative experiences that you're able to kind of compartmentalize a lot of what you experience day to day. And it just kind of drifts on by. All right, so how are we going to iterate just along the corners and or edges of a bounding box? What's like the best? Corners is easy. Corners, you just mix the min and the max coordinates. And then for the edges, do you just like connect them? My only real question is, do I want to handle this as a bounding box thing, like where I can just be like, here's a bounding box, give me just the corners, or versus here's a bounding box, give me the corners and the edges? I feel like that would be a useful tool. I can't find a bounding box. Where's a bounding box? I mean, I know you're a bounding box. There we go. Like, I could do it with an enumerator or something. Like, what we do down here-ish is we have a overlaps or a non-overlap. Get overlapping versus get non-overlapping. And we could do that. We could just create a set of bounding boxes that you would apply. But then you need to get multiple lists together, and I don't really want to do that. No way to know, because all you know is relative to what you're used to. Yeah, true. Very true. I feel like the best thing to do would be to just get the corners and then just iterate between those corner pieces for the ones that match. I mean, we could have a get corners function in the bounding box or whatever, but maybe I'm not going to write it that way yet. Quite yet. Let's just make a function. So let's say... Let's add another variant of this, and let's say it's like... We'll call it like add... Call it like add canvas items. Canvas item draws by bounds. Maybe by AABB. And for this, we wouldn't need to know block cuts. We would not really need to know the mask. We wouldn't need to know anything. We would just need to know the bounds. AABB bounds. And do we actually, is there anything else we need? I don't think there's anything else we need. I guess we want to know... We might want to know if we've reached the edge of the block holes. Like if we're trying to draw outside of the drawable or selectable area. I actually don't know if anyone is actually clamping this for us somewhere else. Maybe the cursor mapping system actually clamps this. And we don't have to worry about it. It's a very mellow song. Yeah, it was a nice song. Permafrost by Anger Music. I find that Anger Music's music is actually quite chill. In a twist. In a weird twist. How have we gone through an hour already? Okay, that's fine. 2 hours. 2 hours to implement our selection outline. That's fine. We're going to implement these two selections. The corners only and the ruled edges thing. We're going to do it. And I guess what we could do is we could have a... Yeah, I think I actually do want a function that says something like bounding box, get corners, or like get corners and edges or something like that. I don't know, but we're just going to write it super simple for now. We can generalize it later. The only real question is, so let's have a bool corners only equals false. Or something like that. Just so we can have a variation that does just the corners. Maybe I do want like a get corners function from the... We can say AABB. We can say... say like public list. Is it a list? It would be an array, wouldn't it? Because we actually know absolutely how many it is. We'd have something like, say, minimum. I don't remember how to statically put together an array like this. Is that it? No. God, I'm bad at this. Where do I... There's got to be somewhere I'm just like statically defining an array. Oh, I do it in the vectors. Let's go look at a vector. Oh, not that kind of vector. One of my vectors. Equals... Yeah, that's what I wrote originally. Why was it upset with me? And I know why it's upset here. Return corners. And in fact, we could actually say, just say return. Okay, why you don't want to do this? Array creation expression parameter type must be int. No, see, that's what I don't want to do. Vector 3i. Why are you upset with me? New. Oh. Wait, really? I just say this. Ah. Got him. All right, see you, Sapphire. All right, minimum. And then now we'll start to iterate. We'll say minimum. Well, we'll say maximum dot x, minimum dot y, minimum dot z. Do you want me to say what it is? Okay. You insist. x maximum dot y. How's everyone else's work going? This is right. This is how you get the corners, right? You just like iterate. Yeah. And then the very last one will be the maximum. So we'll say new vector 3i. This will be dealing with physics bugs. Ugh. Sorry to hear that. That's hard to that's hard to fix. Physics systems are like by definition like black boxes. In my opinion. All right, I think that's it. These are the 8 corners. Is there a way I could organize this where it would be clear, like, what's connected to what? Not really, huh? I could establish, like, a really simple pattern for connecting the edges, though. I wonder if I eventually offload this entire function to the bounding box of like, give me the parameters for like drawing your bounding box. That doesn't really work. We need to know about the texture format. We need to know something about the texture format. Suppose I actually have to finish making these textures, huh? Well, here's the one nice thing if we do it this way. We don't actually need to ask the auto tiler. Which I do like using the auto tiler. But I think this is actually... Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if an object... We're kind of treating this as an object. I think objects that occupy more than one block are going to be rendered kind of, not rendered, but we're going to process them, I think, by object. So I think we're going to have this bounding box based rendering thing. Or maybe the object will have its own specific little logic. No, that won't work. The system will work fine as long as things tessellate and or we only are dealing with things that are 3 blocks wide. Which I guess to start will be fine. It's not like I've drawn a door that's more than 3 blocks wide. Oh, but it would have to be only 3 blocks tall as well. That could be a problem. 3 blocks tall is about the size of a character. It's actually a little taller than a character. The characters are about 1 block tall. Is that right? No, that's not right. They're 2 blocks tall. Yeah, characters are 2 blocks tall, so a 3 block tall door should be fine for a start. This is one of those things where it's like, oh, I could write a whole system to figure out how to draw objects that are bigger than 3 blocks. And it's like, well, what if we just don't support objects that are bigger than 3 blocks right now? And it's like, hey, at the lo-fi flyby size, that actually might be totally fine. Like, is there anything on here that would be like an obvious problem with that? These computer consoles are about the limit of as the size of the thing that we could draw height-wise. We could also have that logic handled like somewhat internally. Actually, no, we can handle it. We just would need to draw from the minimum, and we would need to step through, and we would need to know how that worked. It should be fine. It should be fine. The reason why it wouldn't work is if we tried to do it the way we do all the other drawing, where we're like doing it per face, and the faces don't really know anything else except they know what they're about, and they can ask what their neighbors are about. But if we do it by the bounding box, we can actually just blindly draw out the stuff in the bounding box based on whatever that particular thing wants to draw. That would allow us to support larger objects. Yeah, it seems like we're gonna have hull-based rendering, like hull-based auto tiling, and we're gonna have like stuff that's more object-based, stuff that like animates. I don't know. Doors, as always, are the most complicated version of this because the door is like both part of the terrain and also is something that you interact with. But all we're trying to do is implement our little selection drawing thing now. That's okay. It's okay to solve the problem that's in front of us and not worry about future problems. So we need a sheet like this. But I might want it to be a little different. I kind of want to flip this organization around. There's also duplication here. We're storing more. We're storing some extra tiles here because these tiles are identical. And these tiles are also identical. I think I can live with that though. Unless we could make this the correct size. No, it would be 72. That's fine. Well, let's get this into its own. Let's get this stuff split off into a different file. I'll save this as select block. Let's get this part out. Let's tighten up this. Whoa. All right, can I make this smaller? Make it 32 pixels smaller, width-wise, height-wise. Is there a way to get, you know, within 128? Oh, this is within 128. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I think it's okay. I like including these footnotes. It's kind of what we do out here. This will be 96. Do 176. It's a little silly, but it's I feel like this is illustrative. The only real question is, do I want to flip some of these? This is the back side. Is this the back side or the front side? I think I might want to flip these two. In which case I need more space. How ironic. Hey, Remus, Mr. Streamer. Will the engine handle the shadows? As in the concept art or a baked art solution? It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. I haven't decided. The shadows are almost certainly going to be baked to an extent. The only real question is what they're like anchored to. So like, I think the characters will probably have little shadows that like follow them around, if that makes sense. And like this computer console or chair could also cast their own shadows. So I think it's going to be, at least at first, it's going to be very baked. But that's because we're going to have these very simple static scenes. But I would like to do some compartment-based stuff, kind of like here, like do some cool stuff with like bloom. Have some kind of compartment-based lighting so that we could do something like a red alert that like tints everything in like interesting ways. Mr. Streamer. Mr. Streamer was my dad. You can just call me Dave. That's a good question, Remus. It's definitely one of the bigger problems with the way that we've decided to do our rendering. Is lighting is going to be a little complicated, but for our resolution, I think it'll be okay. Oh, Arneo was asking about music earlier. I got a new musical instrument in the mail. I'm very excited to try it. It's one of those hippy-dippy hand pan drums. One of these things. They're really cool. And they're really nice for just jamming stuff out. They're really expensive. I found a $200 one. That probably sounds like shit. But, I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna play it tonight. I think it's one of these. I think it's like a D, in the key of like D. I think it's like a D chord or a D minor. It's some kind of D minor or something. But yeah, this is a really hippy dippy instrument. But I've always wanted one, and I found one for like really cheap. And I want to just sit and play it. They're really fun for just, you know, improvising stuff, for like finding a melody, and then you can develop it and like figure it out. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to give it a try. I hope it's not too shitty, because it was rather cheap. It was concerningly cheap. It was a couple $100 when those things usually go for like $2 grand. Now let's ask your partner what they think about it. That's funny. It's okay. It's okay. She's very supportive. I have to find a place to store it. That's probably the thing that's gonna piss her off the most. She's gonna be like, "Where do you fit this big drum?" That's like. But yeah, we're gonna be working on music. We're gonna be working on music. I've been thinking about music a lot more because that's our big blind spot on our list of things that we need to work on for like the lo-fi demo. We really need this ambient soundscape kind of deal, and I need to start playing around with it. I think we're gonna do, it's gonna be lo-fi, obviously, because it's lo-fi flyby. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna record my own samples, mostly, because I have stringed instruments. And it would give me a pretty easy way of like unifying the kind of sound characteristics of it. And it doesn't need to be incredible quality because it's lo-fi, so it's gonna have this kind of weird set of filters to get it to sound a certain way. But yeah, I want to start messing around with that stuff as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Manigans, one of your coworkers has a 20-piece drum set he's been collecting over the years, and he keeps it in the basement of your office. What a generous employer you have to tolerate that. That's pretty cool, though. I've known my share of drummers, and yeah, the footprint of their stuff is wild. I mean, I know people who've had those Roland electric drums. The electronic ones that like don't make sound, and it's just you just whap these like rubber like pads, and that's nice. But I also know some people, there's a lot of people in San Francisco that have drums in their garages, and you'll just walk by and you'll just hear someone go into town in like a garage on their drums. You need the old modem sounds in there, like if your ship is sending data somewhere. Yeah, I really want to build this kind of layered soundscape. I don't know how realistic that is. So we're definitely going to need to be messing around with like Fmod, which doesn't really have Godot support yet, as far as I know. I think it's like there's maybe some Fmod like plugins that can get you some of the way there, but I don't think there's like a full, real official integration or anything. So I want to work on these kind of layered sound stuff. But yeah, we're really early days on that. I'm just going to be happy to be jamming out on my little instrument and hopefully coming up with some new little spacey melodies. I have a certain style, and I think it'll be all right. I think it'll work out okay. I don't have a lot of experience with making electronic music, but I think the electronic music part is going to be very complementary to all of the sample stuff that I do. I think it's going to be, we're going to have a lot more like sampled stringed instrument stuff. Because that also feels very Star Trek, very Firefly, you know, to have it be mostly stringed instruments, like actual instruments, but kind of, you know, sampled and manipulated to fit the kind of ambient soundscape it needs to exist in, and, you know, have the right feel. Hey, Steph Studio, what do you use for a DAW for music? Well, we're just getting started on that part. That's what I'm saying. I haven't settled on that. I'm not sure how busy I want to be, because mostly I just record music live and I just use it that way. So like I've made do with like Audacity for a surprising portion of my life. But I don't know. I'm not super comfortable or willing to like shell out the big bucks for like Ableton Live 12 or like Pro Tools or whatever. Still, yeah, you like +1 for Reaper. Yeah, see, I'm still shopping around and trying stuff out. I'm a lot more comfortable making music physically than digitally. But how's it going, Steph? What have you been up to? All this talk has you wanting to make space music. You'll need to get at least one soundscape done for the demo. Oh, we'll need at least like 10 or 15 minutes of music for the demo. For the trailer, oh yeah, the trailer we just need like one song, so that's a good point. We'll probably just have 1 or 2 songs that we can cut between, because you'll want to cut, probably. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if you want one continuous line of music or you want to cut around when you're in the trailer with the music. It depends on what we put in the trailer. But yeah, you're right. We'll need at least like a minute or 2 of music for the trailer. But that's Q3. That's a Q3 problem. So we still got time. We're still playing around. You're good, thanks. Game looks cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're actually talking about making a much smaller little ship game. Because, like, what you see behind me is, like, a big, like, Enterprise-style, like, Star Trek, like, bridge. So it's, like, big stuff. And we're, like, we're trying to distill what we want to do down into, like, a little game right now. Like, we're calling it Lo-Fi Flyby, and it's going to be this little game of, like, you'll have your little pilot character, a little pet companion, in a little cargo ship, and you're kind of flying from station to station, like, moving cargo around, and, like, it's going to be more of a little desktop companion-y kind of thing at first, just to acknowledge the fact that we have so many systems we still need to make and so much content we need to make. And I really just want to make something, you know, that I can finish in the next year or two to start, to see if we, you know, if people like the vibes and if we can fund the bigger game development. That's the idea. So we're kind of shifting gears from a lot of systems design stuff that we've been doing to build out all the stuff we need, and we're kind of shifting gears to this game plan of really just trying to focus on a Steam page, a game trailer, and then eventually a little demo, and try to have all this done by the end of the year. So we're just cutting scope like super aggressively for now, and then we'll expand back out later once we get time and money and, you know, a bit of runway. That's the idea. Scope creep is real. I know we're trying to do the opposite. We're going through some major scope withdrawal, which hurts. Going through withdrawal is hard, right? That's what they say. But scope withdrawal is important. You need to pull back the scope, and you need to be okay with having limited scope. It does get easier to have limited scope. Commander, you're a hardware lady. Every time you try to use your computer for music, you give up. Yeah, I'm much more comfortable with like acoustic instruments and like just recording stuff. I haven't done hardly any studio stuff, and it shows. It's definitely my biggest blind spot creatively is music production. I actually have some people I'm going to talk to that are professional musicians that I'm hanging out with this weekend. And I'm going to pick their brains a little bit more about specifics. Shenanigans, your company owns the whole building, 3-story plus basement. A few of your coworkers all go out and jam after work. Oh, that's awesome. Got like a little basement band. All right. Well, that's not what we're doing today. We keep getting distracted. Today, we're just trying to implement selection outlines. New selection outlines. That's all we're trying to do today. I need a scope French Revolution. Minimum viable product. I know that's it, Steph. That's it. We've been on this roadmap towards a minimum viable product for a couple of years now. We've spent all of our time working on a tile block editor tool for building these spaceships. But we're gonna try to shortcut all this work. Yeah. I can't get this to be exactly flat here. But we're going to do it. We're going to take a shortcut, trim a little bit of this out, and then make a side project, because the big project is just too big. And, you know, that's okay. But I really like the tech. I really like the rendering style we're approaching. I really like our early systems for like building, because we have a neat system for building and reasoning about these 3D block spaces. Like we can gray box an isometric 3D block space like really easily now. we can just knock this up. See how quickly I can make one of these demo boxes. But yeah, we spent too much time on tooling. The tooling is slick, though. And now we have this box and we can, like, peer into it. So we have, like, a system in place for doing this. We just need to start working on content. And we're going to start with really little ships. Just because this is, like, a massively overkill for what we're trying to do, but it's neat. We really got to work on the system execution problem. The outline test image is starting to look like a CAD schematic. Yeah, that's funny. Not untrue. More scope creep. Integrate lo-fi into the main game. Lo-fi can be you managing small ship to make money resources, and you can redirect them back to your main ship. For comparison, in the beginning, you're replacing each face individually, right? Some of the game, yeah. The tooling, some of the tooling is not, you know, part of the editor. It's just a core part of the game, like the cutaway system. Yeah, Rhiannon, I was actually even thinking of potentially having a lo-fi mode to the main game, where you get your character and you get your ship from your main game, but nothing really happens. It's just like it's just like beach episode nonsense. It's just like maybe you're going on cargo runs or like humanitarian missions or something like that. And it's just nothing really exciting happens. It's just like a ambient background mode for the game. I think that would be cool. Yeah, I think that would be fun. That would be a fun little bit of lineage to put in the main game. All right, so I want to add canvas item draws by bounding box. Hey, Imperial, how's it going? How am I? I'm all right. I'm all right. It's a nice Tuesday. I'm very tired. I stayed up way too late last night working on stuff. But I got nothing going on tonight. This is one of the days. This is one of the only days of the week where I don't have like a co-working event in the evening. So yeah, I'm ready to chill, honestly. We're trying to add these selection outlines as a new little widget thing, a new little selection outline to replace our old ones, and we're messing around with stuff to try to make that happen. Because it's a very different workflow. What are you sharing here? Oh my god. This is pretty good. This is pretty funny. Not the debugger. I almost prefer this if I'm being honest, because this bug is going to be really easy to find. What's really annoying is when there's just one item in the debugger and it only shows up sometimes and you're like, damn. Where even is that? At least with the string of bugs, you're like, I'm going to be able to find this. Quantum bugs. Those are the worst kinds of bugs. The bugs that like just don't consistently appear. All right. So what we need to do is we kind of need to iterate. So we'll start at the back corner. And then what we could do is if it's corners only, we can skip a sub-step maybe. As we iterate through. I don't quite know how I want to do this. I mean, it's really dumb and it's going to be easy, but it's one of those things where it's like I need to get traction and decide exactly how I want to iterate through these edges here. I think we just pick a corner and then pick an adjacent corner, and let's just do it in a consistent order. So we'll start from min and we'll go along X, and then we'll go along Y, and then we'll go along Z. And then what we need to do is we need to do the same thing from the others. Is the game isometric? Yeah, it's isometric 2D, but it's the game space is 3D, but we render it in this kind of isometric 2D. It's neat, but it's also a bit challenging. So we layer in like we render in layers of isometric 2D textures. Is essentially how we do it. You're working on a 2D roguelite? Oh, yeah. Hop in the Discord. Throw it in the showcase if you got some little stuff to it. If you got something more concrete you want feedback on, you could throw it in the projects discussion. I would love to see it. 2D isometric roguelike sounds great. Oh, this is cute. You got a little video already. We'll look at this little video. I'm gonna actually watch the whole thing real quick. I'm tired of getting rickrolled on stream. Even though it's only happened like one time. Oh, this is super cute. Let's look at this. This little cloud game, this is yours. This is cute. I love how you just explain the free-floating movement by just being like, you're a cloud. It's a little hard to tell which is your cloud. I guess you know because you are it, but I would maybe have a slightly different variation of the bad guy clouds. Maybe make them like storm clouds a little bit, like gray them up or something so they just don't look the same as your cloud. Because I would definitely get confused in any kind of bullet hell situation. Oh, I like the little dirt clod attacks. That's really sweet. This is slick. It's side-scroller. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to be isometric. You just said 2D. Oh, I like that. You like... help that tree. Okay, here we go. I see the storm cloud. It was right at the end. You did have like a boss gray storm cloud. That's really cool. I see your little mini map. You got all the core things. You got a game clock. I like how your health is like moisture content. It's very funny. I like this. This is good. This is fun stuff. But yeah. Please let us follow along the development in the Discord. Keep posting stuff there. It's a good idea overall. I think it's fine. Do you know a game called The Binding of Isaac? I am aware of The Binding of Isaac. I barely played it, but I'm familiar with the format. There's a link slightly up the chat, Skywalk. Yeah, it's right there. How's it going, Skywalk? All right, so what do we need to do? We need to iterate through the corners. So we can say vector 3i corners equals bounds dot get corners. Then we can just for So we can just iterate through the corners. Actually, we could just say for each corner and corners. Unless we needed to drag along to the next one, huh? I want to avoid duplicating the work, so what would be the best way to iterate that avoids work duplication? You would want to like... So we want to iterate through each corner, but we also want to connect the corners, but only certain ones. One. It would actually make sense to only draw the one connection. Maybe. That's actually a hard problem, isn't it? You can't actually do that. That's like a 7 bridges of Königsegg problem or whatever. Königsberg. Königsegg. That's a car. I mean, that's not exactly a car. I misspelled it. Yeah, we need to iterate through these. One, two, three. Four, five, six. How many edges are there? Oh, there's 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, okay. I know what we're gonna do. We'll do the minimum. And then we'll do this corner and this corner. We'll do the corners first, and then we'll do the edges. Because actually, corners only is going to affect a lot about this. And actually, maybe we just have a function... here. What if instead we say something like draw bounding box corners? And we have like a draw bounding box edges. Hey, Yopo. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing? So since we'll always draw at least the corners, maybe we pass a format in here. Okay, add canvas items, corners only. Well, maybe we break that out in a second, but for now I'm just going to do it as a single function. And we'll just do the corners first, and then we'll do the edges. We'll say, like, if corners only, return. And we'll do the edges part. Wouldn't it be cheeky if the cloud had a silver lining? Damn, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, Skywalk, the kart game stuff you're working on looks great. I love the little rainbow road thing you added at the end. Oh, the ghost. The ghosts that you're racing against are... That is so cool. The ghost racing. It's neat. Here. We're gonna show some stuff. I should probably add something to, like, the showcase chat thing that's like, I might show whatever you post on here. Be aware. Yeah, this is so cool. You're like racing. You're like racing like a ghost, and you're on Rainbow Road. How slick is that? That's a cheeky little shortcut. Oh, and you got the little rope. Oh man, this is good. It's good stuff. Yeah, this is looking great. Very fun. This must have been fun to implement like a Mario Kart style thing. Oh, I saw you hopping. Yeah, and the fact that you can race against this ghost version of yourself is so slick. Excellently done. Love to see it. Yeah, you race against the ghost of the best lap time. It's super cool. Shenanigans, you could do that as another potential ad break thing. Show things that are in the showcase and or project channels. That would be fun, and it would help promote the Discord. Yeah, you're right. I think it'd probably just be the showcase. But yeah, I think that'd be fun. Little showcase ad breaks. I mean, I feel a little bad doing it during an ad break, but use those Prime subs. Redeem them Prime subs. All right, so we're going to iterate through all the corners. I think I was going to change my mind a little bit about how I handled this corner block. Wait, what happened? Oh yeah. Canvas item. 28. 64. So here's the cursor block. I actually think I need to swap the ordering of this. So I'd like to do the back faces first. And I think these are the front faces. Double check. That's not helpful to us right now. So these are the back faces. Yeah. I put the front faces in front. Oh. I don't know why I care about this. Game's live too. Anyone wants to try the link in the Discord showcase chat? That's awesome. Yeah, that's part of like a that's in like this kind of Roblox-esque like ecosystem, isn't it? I mean, Roblox is maybe a dirty word to use, but I don't know another way of describing that. It's in this kind of like shared game ecosystem, right? Where people like make like little custom games within it or something. Because I feel like that's not the first project you've made in that like kind of Minecraft Steve kind of like little kind of world. I keep naming. I'm naming the big box versions of these things because I can't think of it. So this is the corners only. I do think I want to swap the ordering. So I'm going to just reverse these. So that it's rear face and then front face. And then same thing here, I think. Oh, is that maybe wrong? What does the Y back faces look like? No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, doing this the same way we're rendering the hull types is like wildly difficult. So I'm glad we're doing this a little bit of a different way. You reverse engineer a voxel syntax format. Since you made it performant, you started making games with it. Oh, it all started with that map viewer you made. Cool. What is cool, you can make a racetrack in Minecraft, convert the .mca or .schematic to Kirka. Oh, that's what it was, Kirka.io. Import that to Kirka.io.json. That's cool. That's really cool. Do we need to change this stuff? So I kind of want the back face first. Running out of time to actually do this. We'll be heading into our second ad break here soon. But I believe every day is a good day when you paint. So we're going to do the back face first and then the front face. We're just going to go corner by corner. And there's going to be some kind of offset is the other trick. So the top faces have a negative offset. So to render the corner for this block, you go over one tile. And then to render the back face for these, you actually go down a tile and then forward. Okay, so there are offsets. So we need to code in the offsets for these. That's also why the per face thing that we normally do with the hulls doesn't really work here. Not easily. Which is why we're just going to render it out based on the bounding box. All right, so corners. So this is probably where the texture... Maximum warp nodule. Hurry, you know, the deadline to submit a talk to Godot Con Amsterdam is like today, right? You got your stuff submitted? I don't know if that's accurate. I feel like that's what I was told recently. I feel like Stein made a post about it. Could be your talk got accepted today. Hell yeah. Can't wait to see that. I mean, I won't see it. I'm not going to be there, but I'm sure they'll put it up on YouTube. The new icons I'm making look nice for pixels. Very good. Looks very good. Oh, thank you. It's a selection outline. So it's going to be... So when you've actively selected something, these little corner pieces will appear around it in a little box, even if the thing is like irregularly sized. And then when you're click dragging the mouse, this version of it, which is like more of a dotted line with a little ruler system, so that you can kind of measure block spaces by just boxing out the space. And so this is like the active selection. So like while you're in the middle of it, it'll be this mode. And then when you let go of the mouse, it'll switch to a different mode. It'll switch to this. Honestly, it'll probably have this just around the overall selected area. And probably the individual little guys that are like in that area will probably be highlighted separately, but... It'll also probably follow the cursor around this little thing. This look. Maybe? Maybe it'll be this one that follows the cursor around. I'm not sure. That's going to be a little weird, actually, but we'll figure it out. Looks very clear. Oh, thank you, yeah. We iterated on that for a bit. Now we got to just draw it. And the regular auto tiler process we have would be really convoluted, so I'm trying to write my own little simpler process based on the bounding box. But that's very different than how we've done this in the past, so I'm just struggling a little bit. I might even call this like box canvas item draws. And so if they're corners, we just need to iterate through the corner. And we probably, like I said, I think we need to add our actual form. So we have these texture atlas formats, but we actually need kind of something else. I might hard code it for now. That'd be really bad, but I might just do it. We were trying to do things like this in a programmable way, so that to support, you know, other people's content, but that's part of like how we overscoped, right? I mean, it's good to have mods in mind when you design stuff, but like we kind of just need we just need to do this. It just needs to be done. So if I want to add, so we need to create a new canvas item draw parameter. It's what we need to do. We'll say canvas item draw params. Draw params. All right, we need to define this thing. So this is everything that goes into a... all this. Ooh, we need a texture ID. We need to add something to texture registry. Hey, the Law D3. How's it going? You got any trailers, pics you can look at? Get an idea of the game? Only a little right now. That's actually our big game plan we're switching to starting tomorrow. Is we're switching to work on getting the Steam page up, which is going to begin a phase of what I call screenshot-driven development to get the art locked in and a lot more content in, just so we can make a Steam page that has these really nice screenshots and everything. But we're going for this. We're going for a low-res isometric 2D look. And we're starting out very small. We're making a little like lo-fi girl kind of like space, little cargo ship game to start, because we wanted to make a big, you know, Star Trek style thing, but there's a lot involved in this. But yeah, here's like a style guide kind of the overall things. We've been working on the art more, so like right now we're working on a little selection icon thing. But if we want to look at like some of the characters we've been mocking up, we can probably do that. If I search just lo-fi. So here's some like mock-ups of like our first character, which is like an Ellen Ripley kind of type. I've also been working on their little cat companion, like a Jonesy type that you'll just have on the ship. I love the deep lore that this is like actually a shapeshifter. And we'll just give them like different forms. I think that'd be funny. I think the cat turned out surprisingly well. Well, cat-like object. But how are you doing? Happy Tuesday. I gotta work on. We're gonna be working on more stuff. I want to knock up some like. I want to knock up a shot of just like Ripley, just like in the pilot seat of her little craft with Jonesy in her lap, and they're both like asleep. That's one of the first shots that I really want. It's like a shot of the cockpit with both of them in there. But I need to finish the layout. I haven't finished the layout. I'm gonna work on that tonight, maybe. Gotta work on the layout. Pretty displacer beast. Yeah, there you go, Nanigans. Exactly. Exactly. Love FTL. Honestly, if you create a slightly more detailed FTL with more in-depth and touching story, you'd play the shit out of it. You had so many ideas for an FTL type game. Yeah, I want to work my way up to it, to something heavy. We're definitely focused more on story. Like it's going to be a lot more based on, I'm structuring my idea of it around like TV shows, as far as like having kind of episodic adventures that we write out for these characters. So like have a little bit more connection between the different missions that you're jumping around to. Like you might do like one of like an Enterprise like investigation of like oh, you like encountered a smuggler and like you blew their ship up and like you figured out they were carrying weapons and you have to figure out where they came from and like figure out where the weapons are going to and like have like a little bit more story and have a little bit more character background build. I'm really focused around that. But we need to start small. So we're gonna shrink it down to more of like a Firefly scale thing where we have a small ship with a very tight crew and you're not really doing much except like flying around doing cargo runs and maybe salvaging runs or something. But yeah, I appreciate that. As long as it has replayable value, almost like a roguelike. That's what we're aiming for. It's definitely what we're aiming for in the long term. But we're trying to we got to build it up slowly. I'm a solo developer, so I'm doing everything. I'm doing all of this stuff. But yeah, I appreciate it. I hope we get there. We're trying to put something out on the market in a couple of years. So we're working on something tight, like what I would call an FTL-like, like a lot tighter scope. And I'm hoping that will get us the attention and the funding and stuff that we need to do something a little bigger, to actually live up to FTL and do something bigger. So yeah, it's a long road getting from there to here, you know? Or I guess it's getting from here to there. That's the long road. All right, so we need to fill out this draw param stuff. So we need a texture ID. We need to know what the texture ID. Do we need a masking? I think we'll just mask it as a 1. Y sorting, whatever. The Z index will be, how do I know what the Z index is? Oh, it's just going to be the corners. It's just corners. I. You got it, Rhiannon. I got faith, you know. You can't take the sky from me. All right, now I'm mixing my metaphors here. It also can't just be these. This needs to be a absolute value, right? Am I not doing that here? Wherever we do this? Hall key.x. Hall key.y. Hall key. Oh, these need to be like absolute values. How has that never been a problem? I guess it's because right now the editor is locked to positive numbers. Man, this is gonna cause us problems later. I'm gonna add it to do. Actually, maybe we don't need to only use absolute numbers. Now that I think about it, we may need to use absolute numbers for this. I don't know. I'm not gonna note it. We'll run into that problem if we run into it. Nanigans, you're restraining yourself from significantly increasing the scope of the actual gameplay of your own game. It's very tempting to pivot to, instead of having it just be a sort of node-based overworld, hopping from battle to battle. Yeah, I feel that. All right, so we need to register some textures. In the texture registry, which means we probably need to make these textures. New. Are these not here? Where did I put these? Where is this file? Oh, it's an ASprite file. Needs to be. So we have a cursor block and a select block. And I think this is actually the opposite. Yeah, these are actually the opposite. I need to rename them. And you flip the names. Law. That's the other thing. The soundtrack has to be on point. We were talking about that today. You'd never have played as much FTL if the soundtrack wasn't as good as it was. Yeah, that's the big deal. That's a big deal to me, especially because we're making kind of a this initial idea is more of like kind of a desktop companion kind of thing. Like it's going to be small. It's just going to be start out just a small cargo ship, just, you know, running missions in like the corner of your desktop. Like we're starting out small with this idea. And it means that it's going to be a very kind of ambient kind of game. And yeah, we need a lot of music. I actually got a new instrument that I want to mess around with today. I got a hand pan drum, which is great for creating those like kind of floaty, kind of meditative little melody lines and stuff. And I want to use that to kind of just start messing around with stuff. We need to make a lot of, we're going to make, the soundtrack is going to be very lo-fi. So I need to start working on getting a lot of samples recorded, learn about a lot more about music production. But yeah, you're right. That's like a huge part of it. We need to do that part right, and we need a lot of content for the audio. I'm gonna need to record like a whole album. Like we need like at least like an hour of music in the full version, but we're gonna start small. We'll start with like a minute. We'll work our way up. It's all about the beeps and the boops. You have to encapsulate the emptiness and the dread that the FTL soundtrack does. Yeah, luckily we don't need quite as much dread right now. Because at first you're gonna really just be like a scavenger and cargo runner. But I think it would be really great if there could be little scripted sequences of like occasionally you get into like a firefight or something. Or maybe you get boarded, or you board at like a little derelict or something. I think it would be cool. I definitely have ideas. Definitely have ideas. It'd be cool if two ships could dock. And we could you could like pull up to a little derelict ship and dock with it. And then try to see what's there, going on there. That'd be really cool. Skywalk, you tried to use a real cart sound in your game, but it was too hard to time looping the sound, etc. for acceleration, braking, turning. Yeah. Yeah. I think you can get away with just pitching it up for acceleration, and like that's 90% of the way there, right? But yeah, the law, we want to do a kind of layered soundscape so we can have some of those ambient beep boop stuff. Like we want the soundtrack to kind of mesh with the sound effects in a very unnoticeable way, right? Like if there's like computer sounds and like doors opening and closing, like the whoosh of doors and like the sound of little robots going down the hall, like we want all of those sounds to kind of mesh and add on to the soundtrack, because then that gets even more variety, and that kind of helps us with that sense of variety without having to record 10 hours of music, you know? Because the FTL soundtrack is good, but it's not like 10 hours long. The original soundtrack, Ben Prunty, if only I could, it's an hour and a half. The original FTL soundtrack. I think I could maybe do half of that. I think I could record a 45-minute soundtrack to start. But if we can get it ambient enough, yeah, it's tough. Oh, that's original plus AE. What's the original soundtrack? The original soundtrack. doesn't really say. But yeah, it's 29. There's 29 2-minute tracks. So 30, now 2 or 3 minute tracks. Yeah, it's long. It's a long soundtrack. It's one of the best. The original FTL soundtrack is so good. Yeah, they have a lot of explore tracks. We don't really need all the battle tracks. And so if this is an hour and a half and we don't really need the battle tracks, we can do the first half. We could have like, I think a 45-minute soundtrack is a good start. I say start. I'm saying like for launch. But yeah, that's the crazy thing about making a game is you have to like make a whole, you have to put out a whole album at the same time sometimes. And again, I'm a solo dev, so that means I got to do all of it. All right, let's get our shit together here. I really want to finish this selection boxing. You're struggling to make 2 minutes of music. You don't know how you'd make 45. Iteration. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're gonna start with 2 minutes, right? We just need enough for the trailer at first. And even the demo, I'm not gonna have 45 minutes of music in the demo. Maybe I'll have like 15 minutes of music in the demo. Depends on how long I really want people to play the demo. Absolutely not, Skywalk. But you cap at that, so I think you know that. Much cap. All right, so we want to do this. We basically want to walk from each corner and lay out the edges. And we're going to start from the back. And so we'll walk to the opposite X corner, then the Y corner, then the Z corner. And then we will probably jump to each of those corners and then do the same. Is that how that's going to work? Oh, not quite. Not quite. Oh, we want to jump to the opposite corner from there. So we actually want to... Okay, I see what we're doing. I see what we're doing. We're going to hard code this a little bit, but I see what we're going to do. Shenanigans. You really want to do more fast-paced kind of dungeon crawler. It turns into turn-based when you encounter stuff. Potentially make it optional co-op. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're just listing all the different ways you could, like, just absolutely blow the scope of your game out of the water. Yeah, that's easy. It's easy to do. All right, so where is our little texture registry? So we need new registries. So we're not going to worry about this overlay block as much. What we really want is constant. We want, like, a cursor block overlay to the preload. Well, we can't preload it. We don't know what it is yet. Select block overlay. All right, I got to take a quick bio break here. I'll be right back. Thanks for hanging out. All right, we back. Hey, Magoo. What's up with you? Oop. Extreme close up. Whoa. Sorry. Fine, I wasn't raised on Wayne's World or anything. Hey, Bart Lane. Rhiannon, you're also worried about limiting scope? In addition to the dungeon dives and the restaurant cooking sections, you would love if you could also run a farm. Oh my god. And grow resources after you've collected them. Perhaps trap monsters and put them in a barn. Gain ingredients that way also. You really need a Delicious in Dungeon license so you can just do like a Senshi spin-off story about his little dungeon farm that he has. He had a golem farm, didn't he? Where he like farmed on the backs of golems. Yeah, the multiplayer scope thing is crazy. It's huge. Fishing minigame? Of course. We should add a space fishing minigame. Alright, well, we need to find these files. Where are these files going? Okay, that's correct. Okay, so we're going to go through each corner. I almost don't want to loop this because I kind of know what I'm going to do. Oh, no, this is just for the corners. Right, sure. Let's start with that. That seems good. Let's say texture ID. I need to have like a registry lookup so I can like not have to know this myself. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We also need to put... I'll just call these like cursor block. Sorry, I'm kind of sniffly. The allergies have been bad. My allergies have been bad this week. Oh my god, you had to clip the extreme close up. Gotta go. Thanks, Magoo. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you checking in. Take it easy. All right. So we'll hard code this in for now. 5. This almost definitely needs to be... I guess it doesn't need to be a whole number because it's all relative, huh? It's neat. All right, so this is super simple. Canvas rect. We need to know where this is. We also need to know the source rect. Format comp.origin.x plus atlascoords.x times format comp.region.x. Okay, yeah, we need regions. It is looking increasingly likely that I'm not going to be able to finish this rendering in a single day, but that's fine. We can work on this a little more. As long as we're working on on the good stuff, we can finish this up on the side this week. Law, you really want to get into game making? You work in data and then you barely have time to sleep. That's the problem. That is the problem. That's a huge problem. My solution is to not sleep very much. Have you tried that? But no, it's hard. If you've been, you've been listening to us. The secret is to just cut scope all the time. Just start small. Do something small. Because each small thing that you make makes it a little easier to make something bigger. So I would like pick up maybe like the Godot engine or Game Maker or something small. Something that encourages small project. And then start with like a tutorial project. Start with one of like the Godot documentation tutorial projects, like the getting started. Like Godot has this great docs. They have a getting started section. They have a thing where you can like make a little 2D game or a 3D game, and they're cute. They're super easy. Like this is the Dodge the Creeps game. Do something small that's easy, and then do something slightly bigger each time. But yeah, the lack of time is really hard. The lack of energy and the lack of time. What's helped me a lot is having just a very a fairly rigorous schedule, in that like I stick to my schedule. Like I'm here at generally the same time every week. I have events that I'm committed to. Like I have these co-working events that I do in the evenings most days. That's what you know, has helped me. Skywalk, game making is making tons of systems that interface with each other. So if you learn to make little systems like inventory, item manager, quest manager, etc., and once you have any systems, you have a game threshold. That can work. That can work. That can definitely work. Oh yeah, we also have a Discord. If you need help or tips on like how to learn or you run into issues, we're happy to help. All right, so I clearly need to set up one of these format comp things. That's fine. So we have a position, we have an offset in the position, offset X, offset Y. I need to look more at these. So we need to make one of these little texture format JSON files. So like this is the offset from the origin of the tile. Or no, from the left, from the upper left, it's the offset. So here we have offset origin region. We have this X-face tile coords. Maybe we can use this, even if it's not meant for the auto tiler, we could still maybe use this. So instead of passing in these vector 4s, what would we pass in instead? Maybe we could pass in vector 3s, and we could map vector 3s. That could work. Now, if I wanted to make a new JSON file here, how would I do that? Create text file. We'll say cursor, texture, atlas, format. All right, now we have our JSON file, which needs to start with just that. We do need X. We do need to be X or face based, don't we? So this is the size. When I say X face tile buffer, that's the size of, I mean, it's not the size of this. So what is this? X face tile buffer 200. I mean, this is only 51. So where does this number come from? Why does it work this way, Dave? The heck is the 256 for? I think the Z one says 16. So why does this say 16? Oh, is this because of corners and stuff? don't know. I don't know why this is the way that it is. You say you should be writing comments. I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just going to say I don't want to hear it. We don't name layers and write comments over here. No, absolutely not. So where do I set this up? Oh, here we go. Assets.default texture atlas format. JSON serializer deserialized texture atlas format. We gotta stop using this globalized path thing. So int, xface tile buffer. Who uses this? Canvas IDO system. So this tells you the size of the buffer in this format. Length. How do we know this? How did we calculate this? Return buffer. Texture atlas index buffer x. I don't understand. Okay, for I equals 0, I is less than this length, which is the buffer value here. Coords equals format.xface tile coords I. Oh no, this is a different value. Xface tile coords dot length is a different value than xface tile buffer. Oh, xbuffer coords.x plus coords.y times 4 plus coords.z times 16 plus coords.w times 64. It's the 4-dimensional lookup. It's a sparse buffer. So we're going to have a 3-dimensional lookup. So ours will just be, so if this is 16 and this is 256, then this is what, 64 or something? No. What's 16 times 16? Is that 256? Okay, so 16 times 16 is 256. So we want slightly smaller. We want 4 times 4. No. Times. 16. I don't understand. 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Dimensions is 16, 3 dimensions is 64, 4 dimensions is 256. Okay, so it's 64. It's 64. We got it. We figured it out. For a 3-dimensional buffer, the length would be 64 for what we're doing. So we'll say x face tile buffer 64. This might not be the best thing to do on stream. Xface tile coords. I'll record these tile coords later. It's an array. I know how to calculate this. I know it doesn't sound like I know how to calculate this, but I swear I do. It's a reverse lookup. So for each of these indexes, this is the autotiler coordinates that would let us get there. And our autotiler coordinates are going to be based on the... Well, we're gonna use auto tiler coordinates, but we're gonna get the coordinates weirdly. They're gonna be weird. They're gonna be like bounding box coordinates. Don't worry about it. It'll be a vector 3 that represents whether we are at a corner or along an edge. Is I think how that works. I'll have to see. I think that's how that's gonna work. 4 out of 9 maneuvers done. And you're out of wood. You're out of wood for the iron smelter. Don't you have a hinterland?
Logic was impeccable, Captain.
We're delivering on deadline now. No time for comments. Exactly. Good code doesn't need comments. Yeah. Someone framed the famous cursed inverse that Quake line, that Quake code. The infamous Quake code. The fast inverse square root. Someone at this local hackerspace that we meet up at for our Godot meetups put that, they framed it, which is so great. It's a great code. The Quake fast inverse square root is a fun programmer thing to look up if you care. It's pretty cool. All right, so what else do we need? We need this stuff. So we need tile counts, tile offset, tile origin, and tile region. All right. So the tile counts for this one is 3x3, or no, it's 6x3. I feel like this is gonna bite me the way that I've done this. That's fine. When isn't that true? The offset. Now this is an interesting value. I think this is the same. I don't think these offsets change. Origin 00, tile region 16x12. That's all correct. So we'll do the Y. All I'm really gonna have to do is fill in these coordinates, which I'll do that off stream to save everyone the horrors of having to watch me do that. Well, I'm glad that we'll be able to reuse this format structure. That seems like pretty key to not absolutely hating the way that I'm creating art for this game. So this is also 6x3. I think the offsets are the same. Although this one's origin, is it also 72? No, it's 36. Zero 36. Its region is also 16x12. You don't like a comma at the end? Why is this thing upset with me? Yeah, okay, it doesn't like the comment at the end. All right, now we just do the Z-face tiles. Oh, why is it upset? I must have missed a comma somewhere or something. No, this is upset with me for some reason. I don't know why. But it's okay. It's probably because these are empty. What if I populated these? No. Oh, my allergies. Nanigans, you'll say it. The comments are largely unnecessary and have potential to be misleading when you factor and forget to update the comments. Yeah. I mean, I want code documentation, but I want the code documentation to stay up to date based on what's actually in there. Like I want documentation comments. I don't want like implementation specific comments. I want like, here's this system. It does this by way of this. Like when I want comments on code, it's because it's a feature that I finished 6 months ago and I just need to know how it works. Which I don't write that because who has time for that? But like that's what I would want from a comment. Is there like a duplicate name here or something? I don't know why this is so upset with my little curly bracer. There's some requirement I'm not meeting. I don't know what it is. All right, Z-face tile counts 3 by 6. Interesting. Z-face tile origin is here. 76. And then Z-face tile region is 32 by 8. Okay, so for some reason Godot does not like what's going on here. But of course, because it's just a JSON file, it's not telling me what's wrong. Close this and reopen it and see what it likes. Okay, so that's just it being weird. That's it not being able to update. I've noticed this happens a lot with whenever I try to call a C# function that doesn't exist, and then I write the C# function. Even if I rebuild, the script editor will be like really upset until I just close and reopen the file. Kind of weird, but okay. So this is everything except the coords. So I need to map. I need to decide how the 3D coordinates map onto specific tiles, but that's easy. That's basically the auto tiling. So this is a back corner piece, right? So this back corner piece will have a negative Z component, a positive Y component. No, it's going to have a negative X component, positive Y component, positive Z component, because it's at the upper left edge, but it's a back face, not a front face. So yeah, so I'd encode, and if this is 0, this will just be vector 3, -1, 1, 1. And so that atlas coordinate will map to this tile. And then this is a middle piece, so this one will be -1, 0, 1. So the Y is a 0, which means it's in the middle. It's not at a left corner or a right corner along the Y axis. And then this one's the right edge. So this will be -1, -1, 1. Certain atlas coordinates won't result in anything being drawn like this. So it's like and in some cases, I would have liked to have a system that kind of early outs, but the way we're doing this, we're actually not wasting any effort because we're doing it by the bounding box. So this is totally fine. So yeah, I could start writing this out. We've got like 10 minutes left. Is it worth it if I just knock that out? We're definitely not going to get anything showing up today. We're definitely not going to be rendering anything new today. There's just the fact that we're doing a different approach for rendering these little selection outlines just means we need a little bit more time. Maybe that's what we'll use part of April Fool's Day. Maybe tomorrow will be a transition from working on some of this stuff to planning out more lo-fi flyby stuff. Hey, Commander. Welcome back. Commander. Yeah, I just hear Mass Effect voice lines when I hear Commander. I just hear different characters saying it. Mostly Rex. I mostly hear Rex saying it. Shepard. You're washing your coins? Okay. Is that like a delicate process? Are these like collector coins? All right, let's just start writing out the coordinates. I don't have anything else to do for the next 10 minutes. So you can count them later. Oh, they're just random coins you have. I see. Yeah, I don't do that. I have a jar that I fill up with coins, and when the jar becomes full, there's these coin counters that you just dump the jar into the coin counter, and it counts your coins for you. It charges you a fee unless you get the money back as a gift card. That's the trick. Broke activities. You like counting them by hand? No, that's neat. That's neat. I see why you're washing them first then. Arneo, there was a point when YouTube kept recommending you those meditative coin washing videos. That's funny. I saw a guy on the bus yesterday who is admiring his stamp collection. Like literally he had a stamp collection and he was admiring it, and I'm like, damn. This guy's living. All right, so -1, 1, -1. I should probably side by side these so that I don't spend 6,000 years doing this. Right. What's the format for this? Just an array? Okay. So this is -1, 1, and then the next one is -1, 0, 1. And then we've got -1, -1, 1. How do I handle blank spaces in the texture? How did I deal with that here? I don't have any, so how do I deal with that? That's crazy. There are definitely blank. Oh, I put the blanks all at the end. I guess there is actually a valid answer to this. I can just do that. I can use the valid answer. Like, there is an atlas coordinate that corresponds to this empty texture. So I'll just enter that. Arnio, taking your stamp collection on the bus is a bit like writing a novel in a cafe. He just wanted everyone to see what he was doing. Yeah, seriously. Writing in a cafe is like a genuinely stimulating environment, though. It can be. But I get what he means. It's a being out and about kind of activity. Like, if I want to deeply focus on something, I'm not going to be out in a cafe. Although, I guess, I don't know. Admiring your stamp collection is a contemplative activity, so it's kind of different. But I get it. I get both sides. I could see the argument. I'm not a big work at a cafe kind of person, but I think it's because my laptop's too big and the work that I'm doing is like, if I want to set up my laptop somewhere, it's this huge thing. It needs its charger because it's only got about like an hour battery life on it. Sometimes I wish I was doing more lightweight work that I could just have just a laptop with a sufficient amount of battery life and just kind of do that stuff. I would enjoy that. All right, so next one. Next one is 1. Why am I struggling? 1, 1, 1. Now we're doing 1, 0, 1, -1. No. 1, -1, 1. This is confusing work, but someone's got to do it. Hey, Mutzi! What's up? And then you take it with you to the bathroom so it doesn't get stolen. Exactly, Mutzi. Hey, smooth in a second. Yeah, we had some warm weather. I was at my little local coffee shop. They have coffee ice. So when you get an iced coffee, it's the ice they use is also coffee. It's awesome. It's not quite like cold brew levels of like awesome, but it's like, that's a nice thing for just a little coffee shop to be doing. All right, so now we're on row 2. We're encoding row 2. Row 2. Oh, nice. So it doesn't get watered down. Yeah, exactly. How's it going, Mootsie? You caught us kind of at the end of the day here, but how are you doing? We're just finishing up some busy work. We're implementing these new little selection overlays, these new little selection boxes that you need to be able to draw out in 3D. And I'm just implementing the little format that I've written so that our little auto tiler can render them. Normally you could see them better, but I'm kind of zoomed in here. You lurked before? Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate not having to do the whole spiel. All right, so we're starting here from this left side edge block here. So this is, the X is -1, the Y is 1, and the Z is 0 because we're in the middle. And then this one is 0, 0, 0. That's actually okay, because 0, 0, 0 is invalid. So if we get a 0, 0, 0 coming in for the Atlas chords for this, we won't care. We just need a placeholder. And the other one is 1, 1, 0. No, it's also -1. Wait, how is it? These both can't be. Oh no, it's -1, -1, 0. I hope these encodings are identical. Apollo, you would stream today, but you have to encode. You have to make dinner soon. I almost said encode dinner soon. Manigans, you've got an old HP TM2. It's a convertible laptop tablet from 2010. Oh my lord. Barely run Windows 8. You tossed Fedora on it. It runs buttery smooth for doing mobile programming work and little else. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, this will probably be my last laptop for a long time. I have like a Razer Blade 15, which was smart money back in 2021 when I bought it. That was like some of the first, that was like, you know, we were in the midst of the pandemic. Graphics cards were regularly going for double MSRP. And I was like, I'm not building a new computer. I'm just going to buy a laptop. It was a good investment. It was a good investment. Prices eased up a few years later and I built my main desktop. And this laptop's still great. This laptop's got a 3060 in it. And a 3060, in my mind, is like fine for this kind of... For 1080p, a 3060 is plenty. I just keep it at 60 hertz. I think it has like 144 hertz display. And I'm like, that's too much on a laptop. Might be 120, but it's still too much on a laptop. Rhiannon, you've got a MacBook Pro 2019. You haven't used it since you built your desktop. All right, can I get through the rest of this? These X faces. So this one would be 1, -1, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1. No, this one's 1, -1, 0. This one's 1, +1, 0. 0. All right. Last few here. I'll mirror it to the other side and I'll do the Z face. I'll do the rest of this in my own time, but I think tomorrow we'll be able to get these rendering. It'll be a bit of a cheat day, it being April Fools and all. We'll still do some planning, though. We'll still do some planning. Work's finally done for the day, Rhiannon. You're going to try to sneak in some coding before you also have to cook. Nice, nice. I have leftover pizza for dinner, so not a concern for me today. So we are now doing -1, 1, -1. -1, 0, -1, -1, -1. Wait, that's not right. -1. Yeah, -1, -1. -1. One. 1, -1, 1, 0, -1, 1, -1, -1. Okay, great. As long as there aren't any duplicates in this list, we're good. Kind of hard to test for, but so far looking all right. I love hand encoding stuff like this. I don't love it. But if I reuse this format, I can reuse it. So for stuff like this, that's just these edgewise renderings, this is fine. I kind of like doing stuff like this because it's very clear to me what is happening. It's not the most efficient packing, but it's like very clear to me what this is for. Alright, I'll keep working on that. I think that's about it for the day. Hey, Hex to start. You're lurking for a bit. You're too late, but we're gonna find someone to raid out to. Because there's actually a lot of people in here for some reason. I don't know why. We'll go hang out with someone else. Who's doing game dev right now? Covino, Erend, and Otter, and Irad. Covino's 6 hours in. Otter's 4 hours in. Jeez. Any raid masters in the house? Erend. 3.5 hours in. Any preferences? Bye, Mr. Dave. Thank you, Remus.
Maximum warp.
Alright, it's gonna be Covino. You're gonna go over to Erend? Well, no, we're all gonna go over to Erend then. That's where you're going.
He's dead, Jim.
That would qualify as a preference, Rhiannon. Just for future clarification. Let's go hang out with Erend. I always overpronounce their name. I think it's just Aaron. Where you go, we follow. I guess that's about right. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get these little selection outlines in the game, and we will probably talk about plans for our upcoming screenshot-driven development of trying to nail down the art direction and the atmosphere and everything around Lo-Fi Flyby. We'll start working on that tomorrow. We'll probably go from the selection stuff to doing that, and then Thursday will probably be all planning and stuff. So we're probably going to run a transition tomorrow. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.